Alright, class. Today we are going to talk about the very divisive, very misunderstood junction system. This is a topic that a lot of people have struggled with across many years. And I'd like to consider myself a little bit of an expert and would shed some light on how this mechanic works and all of the various ways that it can be used. So, how does it work? Well, the first thing that you need is a guardian force. This is the center of the entire system and does not work without one. Guardian forces are something that you have access to from the word go, starting with Quetzalcoatl, the electric bird, and Shiva, provided to you by the garden, aka your homeroom teacher. In this instance, that would be me. This is a power that's meant to be utilized, and regardless of whether or not you understand how the system works, it's a good idea to just put it on anyway, or put one on, I should say. Once you've junctioned your guardian force, that is when the system truly opens up. Working backwards, the GF is equipped, then your abilities. Your abilities are basically your menu commands: attack, magic, item, draw, etc. This goes beyond just active abilities and down into the passive abilities. To start with, you won't have these, but we will go into detail about that later. Once those abilities are set, then whatever slots the Guardian Force has available will be available for junction, meaning that you will be able to equip magic to those slots. This is unfortunately where a lot of people get confused. Magic, in most terms, is this fantastical, ephemeral, ethereal effect that doesn't last. It's not a tangible thing. You wave your fingers around and some particles happen. Maybe on yourself, on your teammates, or on the enemy. The idea that you could equip magic like it's some sort of jacket or bra is a foreign concept. Let's get rid of that preconception. Let's say that magic isn't ephemeral, and it is a tangible item. And let's say that there's a lot of it, or there can be a lot of it. This is pretty easy. You've junctioned your GF and you've selected your abilities, and you've just drawn a brand new spell. It's called Brick. You only got one of them, but it's nice. You got a new spell. Congratulations. Now, just like a real brick that you would find anywhere, you have one. If you throw it at your enemy, well, now you don't have any.
Sounds like a lot of hoopla to make.
But let's say you did a bunch of damage. That's pretty good. That same brick isn't just a regular brick, though. It's got a very special property to it. The same brick in your hand can be amplified, multiplied. So you have a brick, but next to it is a number that says 10. So you throw that brick, and instead of ending up with 0 bricks, you now have a brick with a 9 next to it. Nice. That, in essence, is how you stock magic. Magic is an item that stacks, but doesn't take up space. Let's say that your Guardian Force has the ability to junction magic to magic power. What does that mean? Well, it means that now your magic is powered by whatever you put in that particular slot. In this case, we're going to put brick there. So, you have 30 bricks. If you cast a brick, now your enemy is getting hit with the force of 30 bricks at one time. One brick, and they feel the effects of being hit by 30 times that one brick.
That's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage. But it's not free, because now you don't have 30 bricks equipped, you have 29. Yes, that means that your next cast of brick will be slightly weaker, but hey, being hit by 29 times the force of a brick is still a lot of damage.
Now that's a lot of damage.
This doesn't just work offensively though. Let's say that your Guardian Force has the ability to junction spells to your defense. And you want to defend yourself with the power of brick. We have 30 brick equipped defense. Now, I don't know if you know this, but if you shoot a brick, you'll probably break it. But it can absorb a fair bit of damage.
Alright, firing. There you go. It broke it. Right in half.
But brick times 30? You're definitely going to take a lot less damage than if you didn't have anything at all or only one brick.
Very fine powder of brick. Can't even really see anything.
That, in essence, is how you use magic and the junctioning system to boost your offensive power as well as your defensive power. But there's more. Now, casting brick is well and good, but this can also be applied to other aspects of combat. For example, if the Guardian Force lets you junction magic to your standard attack, you can have some pretty interesting combinations. Let's say you're a swordsman. Swords are, well, they're sharp. They're used for cutting, slashing, and hacking away at enemies. But you've just encountered an enemy that's resistant to slashing, cutting, all that stuff. But you know for a fact that they're weak to blunt force trauma. Equip brick to your melee attack, your standard attack, and all of a sudden, that blade becomes a hammer. The more brick you have equipped, the more severe the blunt force trauma. That is the junctioning system. Now, a lot of people hear this and they think to themselves that the junction system disincentivizes the use of magic. Because magic can be hard to come by, certain magic is more rare than others, and this simply is not the case. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the story of how a single artillery shell hit a battleship. And in response to that, they turned 9 main guns onto the location where that artillery shell was fired from, and deleted that part of the map. Disproportionate response happens when you use the Ultima spell. The most powerful spell with one singular exception that comes from both the time and space magic school of magic. You cast that on the weakest enemy on the surface of the planet, the humble mosquito, instead of doing something reasonable like casting a fire spell or using physical attack. Many other systems don't have any sort of numerical assignment for magic, which means there's nothing or very little keeping you from using your most powerful attacks regardless of what you're facing off against. The junction system does have limits on magic because magic itself is a tangible item that you can very much run out of. With that being said, there are various ways to procure basic magic and strengthen that magic into more advanced spells. As your GF's Guardian Forces learn various abilities, you will eventually come across the Refine section. Refinement comes from turning items into magic, and then can be further increased to turn magic into stronger variables of that magic. So let's take a spell brick that we were talking about earlier. Once you have about 50 or 60 stacks of brick, you can convert brick into cinder block. The conversion might not be 1-to-1. Let's say it takes 3 brick to make 1 cinder block, but the result is still the same. So if you're having a hard time stealing cinder block from your enemies or finding it from drop points around the world, you can just convert brick into cinder block. Now, if you're having a hard time finding brick, you will inevitably, during your travels, come across pebbles. These aren't spells, these are just items, and they don't really serve any use outside of maybe enhancing your weapons, but you'll find a bunch of them anyway. The refinement tool could be used to turn those pebbles into brick. So let's say it takes 3 pebbles to make 1 brick, 3 bricks to make 1 cinder block. And just like that, you've basically turned a limited spell into an unlimited resource, because you will inevitably find more pebbles. Now, that might mean that you have less cinder blocks, but it will mean that you will pretty much always have a source of cinder block. Now, some people have coined the fact that you can't get the most powerful spells this way, but in honesty, you don't need the most powerful spells. It's great to have, but you'll never be in a situation where you need them if you're using the junction system to its maximum potential. Now that you understand this system, I'd like to see you all apply it and use in your combat. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. Thank you so much for paying attention to class, and I will see you all another time. You are all dismissed.